Hi, I'm Darcel Lobo and I own Dow Law Firm in Seattle, Washington. And I opened my own law firm in March of 2016. So we're just hitting a 6-year mark. And I spent a lot of time talking to colleagues and other women, especially mothers who want to open their own law firm. Maybe they're just starting at a law school or they've been at a small firm and are looking to have more control really over their time. It's usually the primary reason. But one of the big questions that I get is, how much money do I need to open my law firm? And I'm here to tell you, you don't need a lot. When I opened my law firm, again, March 2016, I think I used about $2,500 to open the law firm. I mean, really not a lot. I see a lot of times people talking about taking out loans or saving up tens of thousands of dollars, and you don't need that to actually open the law firm. Now, with full disclosure, I do have a spouse. I have a spouse who has a regular job, so when it comes to the income side of it, I think that's a different question, and you certainly can open your law firm and have an income and do very well. But I want to just focus for this video on the actual cost to open your law firm and how I did so for under $2,500. So starting, and I have a list here. I want to go through, I made some notes because I don't want to forget some things that I want to tell you. So if you see me look down, that's what I'm looking at. I just don't want to forget some things that might be important to you or for you to know about. So that's what the notes are for. So let's start with my laptop. I bought a HP laptop. I'm a PC girl. I don't use Macs. So yeah, I'm pretty straightforward laptop, nothing fancy. It was like $800, maybe $700, somewhere around that amount. Not a lot. It was certainly under $1,000 by far. I want to say somewhere around $700 was what I spent on my laptop. So, and then I did have an actual office. Nowadays, a lot of attorneys will have a virtual setup. They work from home, or maybe they just rent meeting space. I actually had a brick and mortar office, and I still have that same office to this day. I love having a brick and mortar office. Maybe I'll go into that more in a future video as far as the whys and pros and cons, if you might be interested in that. But I really like having a brick and mortar place to go to. I do have a home office. That's where we are now. This is my home office that I work from. What are you looking? Oh, this is a window. Just total side note, in case you're like, what is that? That's a window, and out there is our fifth wheel. We have a fifth wheel, and it's got a cover on it. So that's what that is. But otherwise, we're in my home office, but I do have a physical office that I go to about twice a week. Even through the pandemic, we still have gone in once or twice a week. And so, but about $800 a month for the rent, for me to have a brick and mortar location for my office. The office that I have is a shared space, and so they already have like a full standalone printer, copier, scanner. I did buy a desktop printer for myself, and it was like $200. But the location that I had, I am able to use the stand-up printer, copier, scanner, so I do have that option as well. But I did spend about $200 on my own printer for inside my office space. Besides that, I went to Vistaprint and got some supplies. I had a logo made on, I used Fiverr. I think I paid like $20 to have my logo created. There's no way I could have created my own logo. My firm name is just Dow Law Firm, which is my initials, but there's no way I could have put that together into a simple logo. And so I think, yeah, $20 on Fiverr. You can find some great talent to design a logo for you. Don't waste your time trying to do it yourself unless you have those skills. I just don't have those skills, so I couldn't do that myself. So about $20 there, and then Vistaprint about $200 for business cards and some letterhead. I didn't spend a bunch of money buying pens and notepads and other swag items to give out. I didn't. If you want to, by all means, but I was really about having very low overhead to open my law firm. I had sat on opening my law firm for 2 or 3 years. I talked about it and debated it, and so when I finally did it in March of 2016, I was not spending a lot of money. It was very bare bones, like, what do I need to actually open the law firm? And so I think about $200 on Vistaprint for, yeah, business cards and some letterhead. And so that was it as far as like customized supplies. And then, you know, you have your, you know, your paper, and I do estate planning, so, you know, I mean, will paper and things like that, but not a lot on customized items. And then software. So I also practice bankruptcy, and so my bankruptcy software, I was set up on a monthly plan. So instead of paying the annual fee, which was a discount, I just like, I wasn't committed to paying that annual fee, so I did it monthly, and that was 75 bucks a month. For my accounting, y'all are not gonna believe this, but I just use a Word document for my tracking my income and expenses. Like, I'm talking bare bones. Like, of course I upgraded to a program. Now I have a bookkeeper and CPA and stuff now, but when I just opened up shop, it was a Word document of all the income that came in, all the business expenses that were paid, and tracking client costs, and my IOLTA, I did it that way also. Now, I don't do a lot of hourly billing, so there's not a lot of activity in my IOLTA account, my client trust account, we call that IOLTA here. I'm mostly flat fee, and I always have been, but I use the Word doc. My poor CPA, when it came time to do my first year's taxes, it was like, here's a Word doc, here you go. But you know what? That worked for me. It made sense to me in my mind, when putting in my income and expenses. And so that's what I did. I, again, did not spend a lot. I didn't have QuickBooks. I didn't have any kind of programs for billing when I first opened up shop. And then so other software I have and I still have a virtual phone number. I love it. It's called Grasshopper, kind of a weird name, but that's the name of it. And so I signed up for a virtual phone number, and it's an app that I love because it's on my cell phone. And so I have this business phone number, this virtual phone number that I can give people. And then in the app, I can point it to call wherever I may be. So it can ring my cell phone, it can ring my desk phone, it can ring my paralegal, it can ring my virtual receptionist, my assistant. You can point it wherever you want it to ring. I love it. And so that's what I started using. That's what I still use 6 years into it. I still use Grasshopper for my phones. I love the ease of it. You can text clients using it, and so when you're texting with them from your cell phone, it appears you're texting with the office phone number and not your personal cell phone number. I do not give out my personal cell phone number. I've done that a few times, and I learned the hard way to never do that again. So I will not do that again. And so, but I love Grasshopper. It's great. My malpractice insurance, that was my biggest expense opening up on my own. That was about $1,500 for the year for my first year as a solo, and I signed up for the monthly plan. Again, I was not forking out these annual expenses where I didn't have to. I was just paying the monthly fee just to get myself going and to get the firm open. And again, I was working bare bones, small budget, so I wasn't spending a lot of money. Let's see, we had bar dues. So my state bar dues, my county bar dues, I think the state was like $400 and my county was $400 as well. And so you'll pick and choose with associations which ones you have to join, which may be mandatory. Like for us here in Washington, the state bar is mandatory, but your county and local bars are not. So you'll pick and choose, and you'll probably go pretty light your first year as a solo. And so those are the professional association dues that I had. And then also like my Microsoft Word, I have the full Adobe program, and I did when I opened my law firm as well. So some other software expenses, and then my website. So I tried Wix. I tried, I gave it my all, and it was too much. Just looking at that dashboard as far as all the options, it was too much for me. I could not do it. I could not wrap my head around it. I watched a few YouTube videos trying to figure it out, could not figure it out. So I actually found Squarespace. I love Squarespace. I highly recommend Squarespace if you're looking to DIY your own website. Go to Squarespace. It is like $120-ish per year, and they have beautiful website designs. It's literally plug and play. You drop in your pictures, you create your text, your content for your website, and it is a polished website when you're done. So highly recommend Squarespace. I cannot recommend it enough. I don't have it anymore. After a few years, as I continued growing, I did move over to FindLaw for my website. But Squarespace, if I was starting over again, Squarespace hands down. And then GoDaddy. So for my domain and my emails, I set all that up through GoDaddy. Again, I used Dal, my initials, D-A-L. I went with Dal Law Firm. I realized after picking that I wanted to use my initials that there's a lot of places in Dallas, Texas that are called Dal. So I had to be very careful when it came to picking a name because there was other Dal companies, and it never dawned on me being in Seattle. But yeah, Dal Law Firm, so I was able to secure that domain name. And for your email, please make sure your email is, it has your domain. Don't use a Gmail, don't use a Yahoo, don't use, I don't know, any other. Pay the extra $100 or so with GoDaddy and get, your name at yourlawfirm.com. I just think it looks very unprofessional to have a Gmail or other type of account for your email. So, and I just use Darcel at dallawfirm.com. And so for my staff, I actually use like assistant or paralegal at dallawfirm.com or support at dallawfirm.com. But for me, I just use my name. So let's see, I think that's about it for like starting expenses. Like you don't need a lot of money to actually open your doors. You create your I went with a PLLC, so whatever the formation is for your state, you'll have, probably some licensing fee through your city. Funny story, I did not know I needed a city license when I opened my law firm. I figured that out the hard way. When I went out on my own, there were resources on how to open a law firm, but I didn't have all the answers, and some things you're going to figure out the hard way. It wasn't a big deal. The city sent me a letter at some point and was like, hey, we hear you have a business, but you don't have a business license. And I was like, oh crap. So took care of it. It was like $140, for the year. Took care of it. But yeah, so make sure you check with your city, your state, whatever requirements are for your business. But again, I would say about $2,500 was what I spent to actually get my doors open and conduct business. And if you don't have a physical office space, that was almost a third of my budget, was having my physical office space. So if you don't have that, and you're working from home, and maybe you're renting space by the hour as you need it, although nowadays we're doing most things by phone and Zoom, so I don't know how much meeting space you'll actually need, but the bottom line is that you don't need a lot of money to open your own law firm. Don't let that stop you or hinder you or otherwise delay you in achieving your dream of opening your own law firm. I wish I would have started, I wish I would have opened my law firm 2 or 3 years earlier than I did. I just wasn't mentally ready and didn't really know if I believed that I could do it. I don't have any other lawyers in my family. I didn't know anyone else who really owned a business. It was the whole notion of opening a law firm and running a business was just like, oh my gosh, that seems so hard. And it is a lot, but you can do it. You've done harder things. So you certainly can figure it out, and I'm here to help you figure it out and kind of let you know what worked and didn't work for me along the way so you can learn from my lessons. So, but that's kind of in a nutshell what I spent to open my law firm. When I first opened my doors, I didn't have any help. I didn't have an assistant, a paralegal. I had no one answering my phones. So I was answering my phones. But what quickly happened is that my phone started going to voicemail during business hours, and I did not want that happening. So I would say around maybe 4 or so months into opening my own law firm, I hired a virtual receptionist. Now there's quite a few options, back office Betty's, Ruby Receptionist. I use Smith AI. It was referred to me by another attorney, I forget, but I used them, and there took some, there was some kinks we had to work out, but it's pretty good now. And they don't set appointments for me. they're pretty much as an answering service. I didn't want my phones going to voicemail during business hours. That was so important to me. I felt it was better for someone to answer the phone, get the information, and have me call them back than to have the phones just go to voicemail. I just didn't like that for me. So that's what I went to as soon as I was able to. So I would say about 4 months in, I committed to Smith AI, and I've been using them ever since. They still help answer our phones. Now I do have staff that help, that answer the phones, but Smith AI, they take care of any overflow of calls just to make sure the phones are not going to voicemail during business hours. So that is a wrap on my expenses when I opened my law firm. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have questions, let me know. I would love to hear about your experiences in opening your law firm, or if you're thinking about opening your law firm, let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.